people cross this border for the first time ever. You're confident this border's secure?
We have a secure border.
Is the border closed? Do you believe that the border is closed, or is it open?
It's open, not closed. The border is open.
In that is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration.
It's open because we enter, we come in, free, no problem.
But there are still a lot of problems that we are trying to fix, given the deterioration that happened over the last 4 years.
At some point, Kamala Harris loses all credibility, or do they just not care whether or not anyone really believes them?
Good morning, world.
And that was our Vice President of the Ages. Stay tuned. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. All right, so that soft intro plays into what we're talking about today. The borders of the United States of America. So those of you in other countries, I know some of you are inside of Europe and don't have to really deal with this. I know countries like Sweden and England, and a few others, they have to deal with these border issues. But nobody's dealing with them better than us here in the United States, with our leaders like Kamala Harris that you just saw, letting the American people know that our borders are secure, right?
How they can just blatantly lie is beyond me. But they can stand there in front of a camera and look into it and say, the borders are secure, and they know good and well they're lying.
Yeah. Well, they got a taste of their own medicine. Well, our Vice President, Kamala Harris, got some of the migrants delivered to her doorstep. And she didn't really want to answer questions about that.
No.
Surprise, surprise.
No.
But what was more in the news, and I know this is old news now, but we wanted to hit it because I was away in Tennessee living my free life. Well, Cedric was stuck here in California. But while I was there, I got to see good old Ron DeSantis deliver on his promise. Go DeSantis. DeSantis 2024.
Yes.
He delivered 50 migrants to Martha's Vineyard.
DeSantis argues he's simply sending the migrants to sanctuary cities that have promised to welcome them.
We will help facilitate that transport for you to be able to go to greener pastures.
Now, I had the opportunity to kind of go across the other aisle and look at some of the comments. And I want to put this out there to you, those of you who are watching. Me and Brian, we haven't talked about this yet since he's been back. Some people on the other side saw that it was cruel to do that and use those people as a political pawn, so to speak, to get those of us on the right to...
Yeah, because the left doesn't use them as political pawns.
Right.
I mean, please.
Right.
The whole thing is politics for the left. Right. And the proof is in the pudding. These poor migrants got to fly on a nice jet to Martha's Vineyard, one of the nicest, richest places in this country.
Right. Well, you hear a lot of people on the left say, well, the reason that it was cruel is first of all, one, they said it was trafficking. That this is akin to trafficking. I said nothing from the truth. And number two, they said to take them to Martha's Vineyard was cruel because Martha's Vineyard, that area, didn't have the infrastructure to deal with illegal aliens. And I said, well, neither did the areas that had illegal aliens. They had to develop that infrastructure to take care of them once the illegal aliens got there.
And they still don't really have the infrastructure to deal with how many are coming across the border. But the Democrats just use that because most of these states, obviously, that the illegals come over are in red states or purple states. We got, other than the California, obviously we know California. Arizona, very purple, reddish state. And then Texas, obviously, has to deal with all of these migrants coming over the border. And they can't handle it. So finally, the Abbott from Texas, he's been doing this now for the past couple months. He says, you know what? Why don't we bring them to the areas that say they have sanctuary cities, New York, Massachusetts, Boston, I think Boston, some of the cities in Massachusetts, Gloria, what's Lightfoot's first name?
Lori
Lightfoot, in Chicago.
Beetlejuice.
Why don't we send them there since they're welcoming them?
Yeah.
So how could that be using them as pawns? We're just sending them where they said they are welcome and they can handle it.
Yeah. Well, obviously we're not live right now. We filmed this. We're filming this on Sunday, September 18th. But I wanted to ask Brian a question. I wanted to ask some of you out there a question. Maybe you can answer this for me. Do you think that they were asked, hey, would you like to go here? Or do you think they were just put on the plane and shipped off to Martha's Vineyard?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. 'Cause I'm thinking, would it make a difference to say, hey, we got this place for you. It's warm. It's luxurious. You'll be living by Obama and Ellen DeGeneres and Beyonce and the Obamas. You can go here. And I'm sure a lot of them said, sign me up.
I think Obama has like over 30 acres or something. He should have plenty of room.
He should, because if you look back, what was it, 2 years ago, he had that huge tent set up during 2020 for his birthday party, his milestone birthday party.
There you go.
You can set up that tent again, and you can house all 50 of them just on your property.
And let's be real. By the time you're seeing this, they've already got those migrants out of Martha's Vineyard because it was too much for them.
You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here.
And what did they send them?
Where?
Anybody know? Anybody know where they sent them?
Probably back to Texas or Arizona or...
And what's funny is these states, especially like California, when the migrants come over, they've been secretly shipping them to places in Kentucky, some of these red states in the interior, and they just sneak them in there.
Those 3 a.m. flights
And that was part of the reason why we looked in Tennessee and Kentucky. And part of the reason that some of the people in our group didn't want to move to Kentucky is because their governor, they're a red state with a blue governor, he is letting thousands and thousands of migrants into their state. So political pawns plus, they're trying to turn these red states blue by bringing in the illegals. So Martha's Vineyard has a city population of 17,000. Migrant encounters, 50.
Okay.
And they already got rid of them. They couldn't handle it.
Okay.
Del Rio, Texas, has a city population of 34,548. Migrant encounters, 49,563. Why is Abbott sending into other places? Right there. There's your numbers.
50 people, 17,000. That's 0.0029% of the population.
No. And the other is over 100% of their population is now with migrant encounters, whatever that means.
And the thing about Martha's Vineyard, if I understand, because obviously I can't afford to go there, is that it's a, how do you say, a tourist destination. It's not a year-round place. Like, here in Palm Springs, they call it the snowbirds, where you come in for a little bit for a season and then you leave. So when the people who don't stay there full-time leave, look at all these empty beds that are available.
Exactly.
For the migrants to come into.
Yeah, these mansions could live in those places because they're all kept up by housekeepers, because these are the elite. And it's not elite Republicans that live there. This is like all far left or left people.
Right.
It's funny, I was watching, just to go back real quick, I was watching a terrible series I watched on the plane. I don't know why I watched all 6 episodes. I was glad 3 of them were on the plane. I was just trying to kill time. But it took place back in the 40s, after World War II. Back then, this was in England, so the Labour Party, which was the Socialist Party, was for the people, the working people, and then the Tories, which is kind of like our Republicans, were for the wealthy. So they used to say that about Republicans too. Republicans are for the wealthy. But if you look now, the Republicans, if you look at where all the Trump signs are and everything, they're in rural parts of the country, even in California. You go to like Norco in California, working class people. You go to the farmlands of California, all Republicans. Yep. So it's not true. The elites and the super wealthy are the Democrats now. Yeah. So they're the ones who are trying to feed the machine because they're in cahoots. They know when you go to like a communist country, there's rich and poor, but the rich are the ones that are in power, and then the poor, all the rest are poor, but they're equally poor.
Yeah.
That's how socialism works.
Yeah. That's why it was funny a few years ago when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wore that white dress that said tax the rich.
I know.
She's like, well, you want to tax yourself.
Well, and they'll always come back and say, yes, I'm willing to pay my fair share. It's like, well, we are forced to pay our fair share. And now that there's how many thousands more IRS agents out there, we're going to see a lot more audits.
That's such a nebulous term because to say fair share is like, what does that mean? Fair share.
I know.
I mean, it was funny because it was a few weeks ago we were talking about this on our channel about signing a petition to have people sign up to help out with student loan debt. Like, hey, you're all for it, right? Like, yeah, like, well, sign here and put down how much of your money you want to pay toward it. We should do that with these people who want illegal immigrants to come here. Like, are you willing to house them?
Yeah.
Do you want them to stay with you? And I bet you they'll say, no, I don't want them in my house. I just want them here.
Well, it's funny because I don't know if it's a mayor of Martha's Vineyard or city council, but she stepped up. She stepped up at first, but now all of those people are gone. So for the cameras, they step up and say, I'm going to do the right thing. We're going to take care of these people, but I don't know where they went.
Yeah. Because before, it was years ago when my wife and I, we would have kids come over here from Germany, and through the local church, they would say, okay, these kids coming in from Germany, they're going to stay here for 2 or 3 weeks. Do you want to house them? And we would volunteer for that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely. And then it was on us to feed them, to help them out, to give them a bed. I think the same thing should be done. These people who are like gung-ho to have illegal immigrants come over here, you should house them.
Right. And I went golfing the other day, and we met up. When you go golfing, there's 2 of us, and we met up with 2 gentlemen on the golf course. And what's funny is, and this will go to our next story, but the 2 guys that we were golfing with were both Hispanic guys. I don't know if they were Mexican. I didn't ask, but they were speaking Spanish to each other. Total Trump and Republicans. Because guess what? One of them owns his own business.
Yeah.
Lives in California. He envied me. He goes, oh, I wish I could pick up and go with you to Tennessee. Yeah. Because he has to go through all the red tape. One of our friends that owns a brewery that we've known ran into my sister, and he owns 3 businesses now, and he is at the end of his rope. He goes, all the stuff that I have to go through here in California to run a business. And I keep telling him, I go, guess what, Bill? It's growing out there in Tennessee. You could open up your bar in one of those places and probably be just as successful.
It would take off. It would boom.
Yeah. But speaking of, the reason I brought that up, in California, we had another incident, horrible incident. It's another reason now my wife wants to step out even sooner and get to Tennessee. And she was the one, remember, that was hesitant.
Yeah, a little teary-eyed at times.
We had an actual beheading here in California, in San Carlos. But a couple, I guess they are not dating anymore or still dating. I don't know. Some family members were trying to warn her against this guy. When you see the language in the back and forth between them, it was a toxic relationship anyway.
Right.
And she almost called him out. She said, you want to put a target on my beep? Go ahead. Well, next thing you know, the neighbor saw he actually went to his trunk, pulled out what looked like a sword, and basically hit her over the neck so many times that decapitated her. In California.
And that's what's sad, because in California, it's like, what's going to happen? Violent crime is just on the uptake. It was just, I believe, yesterday, and if Brian has the video, we'll show it. We won't show the whole thing, but just the other day in Tupelo, Mississippi, there was a store clerk, and a black gentleman came in, and the store clerk was complying, but he made the guy get on his knees and get him the cigarettes and the candy, whatever he wanted. And as he was doing all this, and the guy shot him anyway, just because he could.
Yeah.
And now we're to the point now where criminals are like, nothing's going to happen. I'm going to be let out. You're going to give me 20 years. I'll get out in 3 or 4.
I know.
Because the prisons are overrun, and I'll do the same thing all over again.
Yep. That goes to the stories in the schools, too, with the violence and the disrespect in schools. That you sent us that video of the former, he wasn't a principal, right? He just worked at the school.
He was an assistant principal, I believe.
Assistant principal.
Yeah.
So he was warning in his talk, get your kids out of these schools. And to that effect, I don't know if you saw, Cedric, in the news of these 2 beatings. They happen to be these black kids beating the crap out of this little white kid.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kicked him in the head. That should be attempted murder.
That is when you, and I learned that from the assistant principal on that video.
Yeah.
It's like, fighting's one thing, but if someone's laying on the ground, you kick them in the head, that's assault.
Yeah, they stomped on his head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a little guy, and everybody doing just what kids do now. They just film it. They film it and they cheer it on. It's disgusting. Yeah. But that's one of the reasons that I want to get out of California and move to Tennessee. But the sad thing is if this trend keeps happening, it's just going to spread like a plague across the United States. It won't stop at the red states.
Yeah.
And that's what's sad, because some of those red states are now metastasizing into the rural areas.
Yeah. Ooh, metastasizing.
Yeah, like that. Big word, right?
These are all big words. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. I saved a little girl's life last week.
Did you?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
She was at the food court. We have a Sam's Club out here, and I was over there getting a hot dog, and there was a young lady, maybe a junior in high school, and she started choking. I've seen that before. You take a big chunk out of the hot dog and
Right.
it gets lodged in your throat. And I went over to her and I looked at her. I said, "Are you okay?" And she was gagging and she was crying and
Heimlicher?
and after the third one, just hot dog came
Wow.
up. Yeah. So
Nice.
all heroes don't wear capes.
Did the cops come in and tackle you down because you were assaulting a young
They
lady?
started
in the
to,
store?
and they're like, "No, he's trying to help. He's trying to help. We're joking. That's what we do here on this channel. Don't get all incensed. All you Joyner Lucas
know.
people, don't get upset."
They would say, if that was real, he would have been shot by the police for assaulting that young lady.
I did do the old Will Smith movie where he plays a superhero. He goes, "Is it okay if I touch your body?"
Did you say that?
No, I
You almost have to.
Right.
You almost have to. It's such a litigious society because if something would happen, they could have sued you.
Yeah.
But
But
he broke my rib as he was saving my life.
yeah,
At least you did it right. You did it right.
yeah. Yes, I did it right. Then I flew off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Yes.
You didn't hold your hand out?
No, I did. No.
The little girl said something about a check.
Jim Carrey, like that.
The last point I wanted to make on all of this nonsense that's going out is the day we're filming this is the day that Joe Biden is going to have a tough interview on 60 Minutes because they're really going to hit him hard on 60 Minutes. God. We know when I saw that, I thought back. President Trump always talked to the press, and it was always a hostile press. They're always going after him. Joe Biden never talks to the press. It's always, what's her name? Karine Jean-Pierre. And she's terrible at it.
Yeah.
She's terrible. But the funny thing is she's still 10 times better than if Joe were to speak to the press.
Oh, absolutely. And they know that's what's sad. But it's so funny to watch her turn the page as she goes,
Oh, yeah. I miss Peppermint Patty.
Oh, yeah.
She was
Psaki.
She was much better at the job. She could actually talk to you and look at you. Lying, she could lie to your face, but she would do it looking at you, where Karine Jean-Pierre is always looking down. You never see her eyes. You see the top of her eyelids, and she's always reading.
I wonder if Psaki, she just got tired. She's like, this is just wearing on me.
She got paid money. I think she's at MSNBC right now.
Really? So she quit her job lying to go to MSNBC and lie and do this,
Yeah,
doing
and
the
for
same
more
job
money.
all over
Probably
again.
for a lot more money.
Jeez.
So, anyway, if you guys know, let us know.
Okay. If you watch to the end of this, don't have all the details yet, but me and Brian, if you guys go back a few weeks ago, I'm saying this because we're toward the end, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we were approached by the people at Daily Wire, and they want us to promote Jeremy's Razors, and we're in some type of contest with other content creators. We'll get you more information down the road, but you guys stay tuned for that because we need you to help us win.
We could win a McLaren. The McLaren that's in that video, they said, is the top prize.
Yes.
So please help Cedric and Brian out. So we're going to get you the code. If I have it before this comes out on Tuesday, I will put it somewhere in this video. Use that code to buy Jeremy's Razors. They're competing with Harry's Razors because their whole thing is why buy something from somebody who hates you. So buy Jeremy's Razors and please use our code. I will have it in there. If it's not, sign up for our Instagram, right?
Yes.
Cedric always keeps up the Instagram, and he will have the code in Instagram to buy that.
Yes.
All right?
Absolutely.
So please,
Absolutely.
Jeremy's Razors, just buy, a couple dozen.
Yes. Christmas kind of stocking stuffers.
That's right.
You never know. All right, so we're done with that?
Yeah. What do you guys think? I mean, I know we're a week behind, but again, I was out in Tennessee. I was on the lake right here, and then I was doing a little kayaking with my family.
Very nice.
Under the waterfalls. Had a great time. For those of you who watch us from Tennessee, we went and kayaked to Burgess Falls, and we were on Center Hill Lake.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know where in these places, though.
Yeah, well, if you come out, you'll see.
I know. All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell, buy Jeremy's Razors.
With our code.
With our code.
Wait for our code.
Yes. All right. Until next time, continue being good to each other. I'm Cedric.
I'm Brian. We'll see you later.